Hello viewers, welcome to Thursday's session on career guidance and counseling. Today we are going to talk about how IT sector is transforming given the new technological trends and what should academic institutions do to make their graduates more useful to the industry. To begin with, we're going to look into some of the technology trends and I'm going to make a small list of these that we are going to cover today. One of the most important trend which is all pervasive these days is artificial intelligence and or machine learning. Then another interesting trend which is becoming very popular in last few years is called virtual or augmented reality. And another thing that is really helping all of us to interface with our smart devices is known as intelligent apps. And revolution that is sweeping everyday world is called Internet of Things or intelligent things, which is changing the entire way that we used to live. Financial technology or cryptocurrencies are driving a revolution in what is called blockchain technology, which is also a very emerging area of IT technology currently. All these developments and trends lead to the issues of security of IT systems. And that's why the area of cybersecurity or adaptive security architecture is also very interesting. All these taken together have changed the landscape of IT industry and the kind of IT jobs that exist or are going to exist in future. Let's begin with the first trend, which is artificial intelligence or advanced machine learning. The entire world artificial intelligence kind of puts a fear factor into all of us that there will be machines who will be as good as human beings and who are going to change the way we work. Well, it is true, yes and no. And artificial intelligence is not a new thing. It has been around for over 50-60 years. And it's only in the last 4 or 5 years that there has been a renaissance of this technology. Let's see what it exactly is. So it's to summarize, it is an area of multidisciplinary research on how to make systems which can think, behave, or act exactly or better than human beings. And it has over the years evolved from 4 mainline or mainstream subjects of psychology, philosophy, mathematics, and linguistics. It is believed, and also it is forecasted by technology forecasters, that in next few years the domination of technology investments would be in this area, along with, of course, cloud computing, Internet of Things, and customer-focused applications, which make the entire suite of artificial intelligence-based applications. Among the various forms of artificial intelligence or machine learning, some of the technologies which are of very current interest are deep learning, neural networks, and natural language processing. The more advanced techniques beyond the traditional rule-based expert systems that used to be in vogue about 10-12 years ago is to create systems that understand, learn, predict, adapt, and can operate autonomously. And that's where the neural networks and natural language processing in fact means that it can understand human languages like English, Hindi, and able to process intelligently. And all this goes in making what is called machine intelligent. So that's interesting, and we're going to look into some of the career options maybe going ahead. Virtual reality is a very interesting area, and it also has been around for a few years, and it kind of emanated out of the virtual effects or virtual special effects that Hollywood movies use for last decade or so, and recent times even Bollywood movies are using VFX, and it has also have rootings or moorings in 3D graphics, animation, 3D CAD, and so on and so forth. So to summarize, virtual reality or augmented reality is an artificially computer generated world that can be experienced or interacted with. The user uses equipment to immerse into the virtual world. It connects people to virtual world. It allows them to control, navigate their actions in an environment to simulate the real world. Let's take example that some of you may be owning Samsung smartphones, and last year a lot of smartphones came bundled with something called Samsung Gear, which is nothing but a device, head-mounted device on your Samsung phone to experience the virtual reality or augmented reality world. There is even a very low-cost option available, which is called Google Cardboard, which costs about $3-4, and in India it costs about 250 rupees, and available on Amazon as well, which you can affix to either Android or iOS based smartphones and experience some of the virtual reality applications. It is believed that by 2021 the landscape of immersive consumer or business content applications will evolve dramatically. There are already applications in real estate where prospective buyers are shown and they walk around their intended apartment in a virtual reality based application. A lot of training applications touring in refining areas, hazardous areas is happening on VR platforms. But interesting thing that will develop over the next few years is organization of entire information, experiences, which come naturally to user in a way which is called hyper personalized. And one of the very good examples of hyper personalized application could be, let's say you always wanted to visit Smithsonian Museum in Washington DC, but you never had time or financial resources to do it. Today the virtual reality application makes you actually experience in a virtual world the Smithsonian Museum and look into all kinds of exhibits that are there. These are the kind of interesting products, services, etc. that are going to make virtual reality, augmented reality mainstream technology. Next, let's look into an area which I said, intelligent apps, which helps you interact with your devices, with your computers, with your mobile phones. And one of the biggest application here is what is called VPA, or virtual personal assistants, which are kind of replacing in some ways, in small ways, not in every way, human assistants that CXO level people used to deploy. And one of the most popular ones, especially for those guys who have iPhones, is Siri, which helps you in organizing your emails, finding things for you, suggesting optimum routes, and so on and so forth. Those who are heavy users of Windows 10 would find that they have ubiquitous Cortana at their service, asking users to that whether it can help you. Another interesting example, and which we will talk about a little later as well, is Amazon's Alexa, which is also in a way a human assistant, a virtual assistant. Virtual assistants or virtual apps are also moving to what is called virtual payment addresses, and these are, instead of your normal bank accounts, it would be virtual payment addresses where you can receive your payments or debit from what is called cryptocurrencies, which are also what we are going to discuss. So all these applications even today and going forward incorporate some kind of AI underpinnings to it. Next interesting topic is what I would call Internet of Things, or Industrial Internet of Things, or Intelligent Things. And Internet of People changed the world in last decade or so, and there is a new Internet that is emerging, and it is poised to transform the world again. And this is not just about connecting people, it is about connecting things, and so it is called Internet of Things, which means that things will start experiencing their experiences with human beings as well as other things. And this is also being supported by developments in drones, autonomous vehicles, smart appliances. Autonomous vehicles are going to be the next big thing for auto majors. Let's take a very mundane home experience that you have, let's say, Alexa equipment installed in your home as a home automation object, and you can from your smartphone switch on your geysers or make sure that air conditioning is on by the time you arrive, or the music system turns on, television shows you the desired programs. And also industrial applications are also there, and one of the biggest application these days is automated parking systems. You just leave the car and then IoT would take over, and it would be programmed to go into a slot into a multi-level parking lot These are kind of some of the very mundane or easy to understand applications, but the applications are myriad and they are going to rise in giving a lot of opportunities in IoT area. Blockchain, or most of the people know it for a cryptocurrency, and the most popular cryptocurrency is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin originally emanated in what is called dark web to do transactions which were otherwise not possible. However, with the success of Bitcoin, the underlying technology has been blockchain, and that is now making mainstream appearance. And though still the current hype is around financial services industry, but blockchain in a sense is what is called a distributed ledger. We all know what ledger is, that there is a ledger where you put your debits and credits and record ownerships and things like that. In blockchain kind of a distributed ledger, it is open to public and publicly validated, and this is what is going to transform some of the new applications, which is one of the very interesting application is identity verification, that everybody knows, and so that the identity theft etc. are minimized. Another interesting area is title registry of your land, of your home, of your property. Again, a lot of issues in terms of illegal transfers of title registry etc. would be avoided. Another interesting thing is that all of us make a will some point in time, that when we leave our worldly possessions to our inheritors, there should not be a dispute. So these are the other applications of blockchain, and many interesting startups or other applications are being developed using blockchain as the underlying technology. Having said that, covered all these kind of trends in last 6 to 7 minutes, let me come finally to what is called cyber security or adaptive security architecture. As I have explained, that intelligent digital mesh would be created via Internet of Things, joining intelligent things, applications, AI. So it will require ever more complex needs for security or cyber security. IoT Edge is a frontier technology, and it is a pain area for a lot of IT security professionals, because it connects sensors to devices, to human beings, to processes, and it creates a lot of vulnerable areas which can be hacked into it or steeped into it. And it will require remediation tools, designing of adaptive security architectures for cyber security, and that must be factored into the development of IoT platforms. And some of the materials you can also find on our YouTube channel. Now I come, what should educational institutions do in building their or redefining their undergraduate programs in context of what trends I just talked about. Well, let's say if a school wants to run a very good computer science program which produces graduates which are employable, useful to IT industry, of course there has to be a core of what is called the classical or baseline computer science technologies. Also, we believe that there should be a good underpinning of liberal studies foundation, which kind of widens the knowledge, broadens the tool, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in a little bit. But the top layer of this redefined curriculum should be the cutting edge specializations. And these specializations could be in financial analysis, business analysis, big data, digital marketing, supply chain, e-commerce, cyber security, cloud, blockchain, what have you. And these are the kind of things that will produce the talent that is needed for tomorrow's world. So just to summarize it again, the institutions should produce programs which will have a liberal underpinnings of liberal dose of liberal studies, which creates truly well-rounded personality, building experiences through literature, performing and visual arts to create design thinking, design intent, public policy, psychology, sociology, media, design, and also have specialisms such as machine learning, AI, Internet of Things, blockchain, and so on and so forth. And also a lot of experiential learning should be there. There is huge amount of virtual internships available, study abroad, collaborative working with the teams beyond your own country or geography. So at the end, what I would say that such programs should produce what I would term as professional triathletes that can excel in multiple dimensions that would be needed for the workforce in what we are experiencing in the fourth industrial revolution. With that, I am open to questions and answers. So if there are questions, yeah, there is a question on how is Internet of Things creating new job opportunities in IT sector? Well, we discussed that IT sector or Internet of Things is all about connecting devices, sensors, human beings. So the kind of few things that come to top of my mind is IoT business designer. Business designer is how one can redesign or reprocess or reprogram existing business or emerging business with various connectivities. And so he is the kind of what is called business guy who would look into what kind of solutions that are available in IoT, how it optimize the business that he is responsible for. Let's say there is an interesting application that these days there are smart refrigerators which connect to your grocery store. And if your milk is running out, it will automatically weigh that there's time to replenish your milk jars. So it will automatically place an order to your nearest grocery store whom you have a license with, and the milk will be delivered to your home just in time. So these are kind of small businesses, home businesses, which can be connected by efficient design of IoT business. Then, like I said, there is a lot of drones, automotive trucks, automotive vehicles, autonomous vehicles rather, which are driving or driverless cars. For all that, the entire transport mechanism, the sensors on the roadside, on the curbside, on highways need to be designed. So transport designers for IoT is going to be another very hot emerging area. Finally, it is also all to be put together with software, hardware, and kind of to make it a digital mesh, as we said. So IoT solution architects is another position that's coming into vogue, which has a combination of software, hardware, and another thing that could be looked into is intelligent machine coordinators. When I say intelligent machine coordinators, it's the people who can govern or drive smart robots or drones and make sure that they deliver what is required, yet being connected to the online systems. And a lot of IoT is lined with sensor technology. So sensor technologists are coming back into limelight because huge amount of sensor development and things like that are happening, and sensor technologists are also a job in this area. Next question is a very interesting question. Can India compete with other big countries in the race for AI technology? Let me first at the outset say that most of the startups, whether in here or US or research areas, even in American universities, are largely being driven by Indian origin people. So India has a huge talent pool in AI technology, but what it lacks is the kind of opportunity that our country provides. And to make that happen, it is important that our policymakers should make artificial intelligence as a critical component of our manufacturing, our public sector, our taxation, our banking. So a big role could also be by public sector or applications or public good applications where you can make sure by applications of AI that no fraudulent transactions happens in taxation, or there is a subsidy which is supposed to goes to the end user. And machine intelligence, the use of drones and intelligence systems, etc., is also a critical element of national security, and it should be made part of national security strategies. So if these kind of applications, etc., permeate in our country, then there would definitely be a much larger scope for our own AI specialists to develop products and services, software and hardware in our own country. Do we have another question? Yes, I think somebody is asking are there institutions in India which provide new age specializations like you have just covered? Well, I would say that traditionally some of these specialisms or some of these programs were being offered by premier institutions at IITs and IISc and NITs, but they were mostly master's level programs. And what has happened that I've been part of a development few years back where we worked with IBM and created IBM co-branded programs where some of these specializations were embedded within the undergraduate programs. So you would have core of computer science, and at the top or super specialty layer of either cloud computing or Internet of Things. And so those are, now this program has become fairly big, and at the last count about 20-25 universities do provide at undergraduate level these kind of specializations. And of course some of the universities have been very successful, including the University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, which is a very successful IBM co-branded computer science program. Another question. You did mention that there is a lot of scope for startups and AI or research in India. So are there any companies or startups that are working in areas of artificial intelligence, including machine learning, NLP, that is natural language processing, or semantic webs? Well, let's look into some of the 3-4 top of the mind startups. A couple of them are really well funded. One of the biggest startup based in Bangalore, which is called Netradyne, and it's a very interesting startup which has created a product called Netradyne Drivery. So Drivery emanates from the word driver, and the whole purpose of this startup is to promote safe driving, avoid collisions. So this is a small camera, intelligent camera driven by driving experience of the actual driver, which through AI and deep learning or machine learning gets embedded into the learning pattern or driving pattern of that particular car. And so that this can help assist driver to avoid collisions and correct his driving practices. It has already received funding to the tune of 100 crores, and the company is really developing this product. Another important startup, again based out of Bangalore, is called Imbibe. Imbibe is actually an educational application or a learning platform using AI as a underpinning. Or it helps you prepare for test prep, and it helps you improve your test score by using deep learning to throw up those kind of questions to you which you are deficient in, and by understanding your capabilities or competencies, you are served with those kind of questions, so that by repeatedly you can improve your test scores. Yet another startup is called Active AI, which helps in delivering conversational banking services. These are, now earlier there used to be customer service agents in most of the banks or credit card companies. These are now chatbots or artificially intelligent virtual people who gives you a conversational, so you can have a conversation like you would have with a human being about your banking issues or banking problems. And there's another recent startup called Artificia, which is active in deep learning projects in computer vision and natural language. It's still in initial phases. We hope that it will develop some interesting products. Yet another question: pursuing a career in cybersecurity is a good option. Can you suggest some colleges? Well, of course it's a good option, because everything and anything that we do in today's technology world has cyber threats. And cyber security is a good option. In fact, you can find on our YouTube channel a show that I did a couple of years back on Rajya Sabha television about cyber security and its usefulness. And some of the jobs that today are available in cybersecurity is security analyst, which analyzes the security perceptions or threat perceptions to a system; security engineers, which crafts the security; cryptographers, which look into cryptographic encryptment of your messages or of your devices, security consultants which advise large companies where breaches could be and how to avoid those breaches, and security architects which create the overlying structure of your system for that. There is another question: what is sustainability of startups in India? Well, sustainability of startups in India or elsewhere all depends on how they create products which are useful, and unless and until products are useful and create a wider traction, the sustainability in long terms is always an issue. But again, it depends whether technology is viable, it is important, it solves real world problems, then the startup will definitely be sustainable. And also in a way it also depends that you get right funding at right time. Another question that has been asked is that what background should a candidate have to pursue a career in virtual or augmented reality? We talked in my initial presentation that virtual reality or augmented reality has emerged from multiple disciplines, from 3D CAD to animation to architects looking into a 3D view of. So you can come from many backgrounds. A 3D artist can emanate into a VR scenario builder. Animator can create real-time computer graphics. Architects and 3D specialists can create 3D models which are underlying underpinnings of virtual or augmented reality. But of course you will need computer science specialists who would be able to put it programming together, visual processing. But here this is a multidisciplinary cross-training continuous skill because the things are rapidly emerging here and one has to be continuously upgrade the skills to have a meaningful career in virtual or augmented reality. Thank you very much, and with that we end today's session.